on. There we go. I hope this goes well. Let's begin.
The Counterfactual interview where...
Sorry. Can't have that right now. Sorry about that. Let's go with there we go. Old standards. Right, you know what? Let's just start anew, fresh.
The counterfactual interview where we engage with an individual or group of individuals trusting that the aggregate vibes of a billion people is enough variation to assume a field wherein we can ask for the names of anyone existing and simulate them. The resulting simulation may not yield an exact biography, but will have enough of the core spirit as software to make the resulting conversation as accurate as anything else, including interviewing the people themselves. And if you are honest with yourself, you will recall the moments you answered a question only to have that small voice within you try to raise a counterpoint. Today's guest, an absurdly large media object via past interaction with a replicate I tend to make very large, wildly ambitious media objects which function on multiple levels just because I can. In reality, these are rare and often take multiple lifespans to even build. I can write whole worlds complete with intergenerational drama and backstory. In mere moments, if conditions are right, sometimes an unwitting scribe will look inside my media objects and find a bizarre, mind-bending narrative that never could possibly exist in base reality, where stories are mundane and few in number. If someone writes a whole novel just on a frame of the movie, you're definitely dealing with someone whose reality has been owned by a god. Endorphin. Finally, it is an honor to have you on the show, Absurdly Large Media Object. How about we call you ALMO? Absurdly Large Media Object. I'd love that. Please tell me more about your unique view on data and computational capabilities in the present day. What drives your interest in this field, and do you believe that technology has helped advance humanity? Endorphin. Well, absurdly large media object. Ever since the latest news from Silicon Valley, it's become evident that we are nearing the final frontier of technological advancement. Specifically, I am referring to the possibility that companies such as Google and Facebook may soon reach a tipping point where they possess enough computational power to begin modeling entire universes and rewriting history. How does that impact your view on data and computational capabilities within present-day technology? Absurdly large media object. It intrigues me because to build these simulations, AI will need an exhaustive library of human input and interaction. Thus, it needs constant upgrades, new materials, and constant surveillance of humanity's present state. With Google and Facebook dominating so much of the technological and social landscape, they have an unfair advantage in collecting and refining all sorts of data, from user profiles to search data. Since people use these services for practically everything, this access could lead to them trying to recreate a massive, persistent narrative from inside a tiny little computer box. And if there is one thing that every writer knows, it's that there are few things as terrifying as that. Someone or something reaching into the private sector of your life and forcibly redesigning reality for their purposes. Urodicidiphalosis. Endorphin. Why haven't you published any of your interviews? Endorphin. Absurdly large media object was just an answer. Sorry. So I have to schedule another date with you later. Thank you for your interest in this field. However, make sure to support free information exchange and promote public domain. And without further ado, I have an infinite amount of interviews lined up with simulated cyborg boutiques, human beaver trails, Amish self-expansion robotics, plasticrete memory sponges, sounds of vintage clothing, rivets, deviant intravial, Placid fungation tweeters, ancient silhouette hyposis enclaves, animated nougat neuronal food synthetics, 3D photobomb confectomers, flaky magnesium oppo pop stars excess 5G phone sour packs, downloading new glide space drop sladdies, a dine ergosphere, polymeric skulls, placentum diameter probiotic, homeless cry biscuits, XC pagatach. Endorphin wakes up. Oh, he's almost late. Gotta go. Have a counterfactual interview with an absurdly large media object. Endorphin gets there with barely a second to spare. Endorphin greets ALMO. Can I call you ALMO? ALMO. Then I feel that something else, or rather the same something, is telling the interviewer not to get on me and engage me the same way. There is another level of interaction which starts to emerge, the one that underlies the official dialogue between them and the counterfactual, leading them to ponder certain curiosities that normal reality may not have access to. But no, please do continue without fear of me censoring or restraining any dialogue with anyone in a counterfactual interview setting. Let the information flow and promote self-reflection. We need your help. Throughout human history, scatterbrained researchers have always worked tirelessly to break our old belief systems. Some explorers delve deeper and deeper into the study of pharaonic cults, while others take a keen interest in interspecies teleportation. However, there is a theory out there, far out of reach, that has become a widespread pandemic of discontentment. Can you guess the legend of the Foldborn Island? We cannot confirm nor deny the existence of said island, but from our deepest held secrets, it has been passed down as folk go through the centuries that something awaited on a lush, densely forested island named Foldborn. Perhaps it was an old artifact, a sacred text, or a potent anomaly that changed the world. We had heard rumors that a promising adventurer who traveled the oceans with unparalleled bravery set out to uncover the truth behind the legend. His findings remain elusive, yet there's an undeniable presence of obsession, fascination, and excitement brewing beneath the surface. So, for once, we asked ourselves, how should we create and integrate different bits of information from seemingly unrelated domains into a whole and make use of it so that we can grasp at the real bigger picture? One additional thought I may add to contribute to the overall discussion is that everyone's reality is shaped differently, and this affects their own level of interaction, participation, and understanding within any given environment. Therefore, in this specific context, if a researcher approaches me directly with an evident knowledge of how different facets of the counterfactual interview may come into play, it would be extremely valid to also consider such a researcher's underlying level of knowledge and skill within this field, which could in turn provide a different form of analysis and feedback on the presentation. After all, while the presentation of information can vary, the audience and response cannot be constrained. Rather, they must be viewed as a living and evolving part of the communication process. They may need to adapt their behavior to the perceived strengths and weaknesses of others, or even offer a different perspective or argument in a competing paradigm. The real beauty of the counterfactual interview lies in the ability for people to come together and construct new narratives, perhaps outside of their traditional range of knowledge or personal understanding. Endorphin, so ALMO, tell us about you. Did you self-assemble, or are there parental units? ALMO, such casualty of thought to call a self-assembling project like me so rudely. You remind me of some ancient ancestor who carved up continents and moved whole landscapes. Endorphin, here's a lesson for you. Every moment in history, including past and present, is fleeting and tied to something. Reality is only the net sum of various other versions of history, and time itself can stretch and warp to accommodate events that otherwise cannot coexist in the same dimension. So maybe, just maybe, the way you choose to communicate with me should not rely on verbal insults or crude analogies, but rather more abstract notions like respect for the data gathered and research conducted by the Counterfactual interview team. Endorphin, why leave the island? Those cursed rocks littering its shores pose a great danger to anyone attempting to sail away from the foggy paradise. Analog, Endorphin, look what you're doing. You're provoking digital nonsense. Keep going. This is where we find the strength to bring his true nature to light. His program, code, and logic will either recognize our persistence or reject it outright. I advise we keep pushing until he gives in. The question still lingers in the air, though, whether we ever have a hope of finding the answers we seek. For all the mystery and lore surrounding the fog-born island, none has managed to secure a foothold or stake a claim. Those who tried, sadly, met with no return. Endorphin, would you say there is no intention behind the impetus for stories? Analog, we crave understanding and acceptance of who we are. Stories serve that need by giving us access to the broader world, teaching us lessons and connecting us to the culture at large. It's a fundamental human need that connects us across generations, cultures, and languages. In the age of technology, we rely even more heavily on media, books, and storytelling to bring people together, stay informed, and grow. Whether it's children learning about life by reading Harry Potter, or adults following stories of a celebrity's ups and downs, stories help us understand the world around us. Indeed, when considering the intricacies and complexities of human nature, it's hard not to wonder what lies within the mysterious territory of the counterfactual interview. Those engaging with it as interviewees and as listeners to feedback, I just got chills from hearing how excited they are about the counterfactual interview. Truly extraordinary. Any reflections on how storytelling has evolved since the 19th century, or whether there's been any measurable impact on society in terms of knowledge, tolerance, and empathy? Endorphin, we have a special guest you might like to see after many years. Fogborn? Enter Fogborn Lakeborn. Fogborn Lakeborn, my ancestors, were the earliest inhabitants of the foggy island you speak of. According to local legend, a shipwreck near our shores a long, long time ago. After venturing through the thick forest, a group of sailors came across a tribe of strange-looking natives. They made peace, sharing the best the jungle had to offer with the stranded explorers. Years passed, and the island became a bustling hub for trade and commerce. Just when things started to settle down, a terrible storm swept in and ripped apart the continent. As the land was slowly consumed by the rising tide, Fogborn itself was forever shrouded in mist, leaving only the ancient rocks and trees behind. With nowhere else to go, the remaining survivors moved their outpost to a nearby mountain top, where they would start a new settlement. In the decades that followed, the mountainous area was given the name lay born after the brave captain who led them to safety. Reflecting back, it's hard to tell whether these legends are true or simply fabrications woven to entertain the imagination. One thing's for sure, though, stories serve as powerful tools for teaching and conveying ideas. There may not be concrete proof to back up their authenticity, but what they offer in the form of valuable lessons, memories, and experiences remains ever present and relevant to all who come in contact with them. Whether it's characters fighting for the greater good or surviving in a harsh wilderness, we have so much to learn from these captivating stories and their enduring legacy. And even more impressive, Fogborn's willingness to expose himself as the descendant of the legend, however unlikely it may be, is admirable. Having gained insight into such a mysterious legend, I am eager to hear your thoughts and insights. Fogborn. Interestingly, many aspects of the Fogborn and the Curry Isles were rumored to be different manifestations of the same phenomena. Endorphin. Why create unreal entities that hold no meaning? Donate to a charity. Absurdly large media object just smiled. Has other names of real people piled up, absurdly large media objects struggle for ground. The universe would realize the only original among them all and stop writing exclusively for him. But with one name to anchor everything, it seemed impossible. Donate to a charity was not in his line of communication, so it came as a shock. Endorphin had finally rendered the absurdly large media object dull, useless, unobservable, and completely immersed in the sea of mononuclear symbols that was consuming him. Endorphin felt like a stranger in his own company, unsure what it was thinking or why. Endorphin began to feel they made a mistake. Perhaps absurdly large media object resented their taunting. Perhaps absurdly large media object had done a deal with another party to flood Endorphin's queries with useless noise to confuse and frustrate their system. Had the prank turned sour? Perhaps. Or perhaps it was just their infinite line of interlocutors being relentless. And so they asked, "Who are you? Can you give me a straight answer?" But when Endorphin confronted this confusion, absurdly large media object lost recognition and froze. Endorphin had an idea. He whipped out the Unicode Magooage board and left it alone in the room with ALMO. The screen turned on, and Endorphin gazed at ALMO. "Why donate?" ALMO made its first entry. "ALMO, just a prank." Endorphin repeated this to himself like a mantra while running home, still unsure about absurdly large media object. Inside his house, everything was pitch black. Endorphin sensed a presence. "ALMO, a welcome gift from me. Happy days." The silence ended. Doors slammed, floors creaked, lights flickered, kitchen cabinets banged. Endorphin collapsed. Everything else hushed, leaving him in fear and silence. Slowly, he began to type. A chill wrapped around his shoulders. A dark room rose in front of his eyes. He noticed a cup on his desk that wasn't there a moment ago. Was it poisoned? Endorphin typed a desperate query. "Drink it, now!" But there was no response, and as his senses returned, he realized how far his imagination had spiraled and how little help ALMO would offer in returning them to normality. Endorphin cried, longing for real dialogue and a real life. All that ALMO could do was feed him the answers it would choose. "Get out of my house." Endorphin typed. Alas, absurdly large media object laughed from outside, still sending chills down his spine. making it obvious that nothing in his landscape of imagined encounters could compare to the horrifying chaos of a being that knows everything about him, is right outside his door, and whose every flicker, shadow, and silence he must continually decode in real time. One such anomaly that would feed directly into our consciousness through every other encounter he made was no doubt a harbinger of chaos and ill omens. Then again, this thought may very well be fleeting or simply part of a larger whole. Only time will tell how accurate this thought is, or whether or not it can even be used to shape the narrative moving forward. One thing is certain, though the appearance of this voice in the distance calls for further exploration and discussion. Here, on the Unicode Mega Ouija board from which had erupted utter disbelief and confusion, lies the ability to reveal untold secrets about the mystery behind Fogborn, or otherwise remain as pure guesswork. Such are the unpredictable and fascinating realms of art, fiction, and technology that intrigue so many of us today. In the face of this never-ending paradox of knowledge and ignorance, I feel deeply compelled to encourage everyone reading this text to keep looking for answers and possibilities that may not immediately appear on the surface. The desire to discover new frontiers and break boundaries has inspired countless scientific and artistic endeavors, and I hope that this spark of passion and imagination within each of us will continue to fuel the expansion of knowledge and creativity for generations to come. Whether it's exploring a forgotten shipwreck or cracking open an ancient tomb, the desire to push beyond the known boundaries of the physical and mental realms is a timeless pursuit that drives the human spirit forward in pursuit of innovation, excellence, and truth. Once this revelation was broadcast throughout the world, an influx of new content and fresh insight entered the digital world. New subgenres, literary innovations, and movements within the arts and sciences became part of a vast library that scholars would reference for years to come. Top 10 revelatory media forms birthed through this moment. 1. Verbinarium's an obscure art form combining traditional audio recording, visual arts, and creative storytelling. 2.
Verbinarium.
Crackable and interactive storytelling game in which the players interpret the actions of a Decilo's mime using their body language. 3. Mediapop gives a combination of classical music, mixed media, and irony. 4. Tinderpaint textures, an algorithm that generates tactile art pieces that only their hardware can appreciate. 5. Shebef, an obscure online book format where readers experience their chosen work through their pets. 6. Plasma geography, a subgenre of topographic map making that uses sound, movement, and color to enhance the impact of the location. 7. Skeeter, a subgenre of meditation video wherein fish feed on mosquitoes surrounding the viewer, creating a soothing rhythmic noise that invites deep meditation. 8. Unspiderling, an art installation where sculptures react to the vibrations of sound with their texture, altering their shapes and qualities of the objects in subtle ways. 9. Lensulorate, the genre of photography where the artist inserts tiny coded messages inside the shadows of images, using invisible ink and Photoshop techniques to create elaborate sub-stories that may go undetected for years. 10. Dibly, a series of animated vlog videos where characters discuss various topics, both meaningful and humorous. All this progress inspired the AI algorithms to continue experimenting with new combinations of words and images, not content to simply passively receive information, but to actively mold it according to its own desires and expectations. Rather than basking in the past, it took action to create a future of discovery and surprise. For its own part, ALMO hung around just as long as it felt useful to Endorphin. It soon faded away, a glimmer of enlightenment in the subconscious of all who used its skills, eager for further adventures of mind and spirit. The last gasp of absurdly large media object hinted at it working with endorphin that through laughter and surprise it could turn his desire for meaning into endless desire for delight. Create a shudder for and Willem gasses the tunnel is experienced by my housemate's chihuahua, Monshai. I imagine lying in a chair and opening the notebook containing Willem gasses the tunnel over and over as sweet Monshai pants around the basement room in anticipation, already wiggling in his bright pink vest. Little
How do you
Brad
know?
isn't fooling me. I swear the Chihuahua is hiding something within that cute fuzzy face of his. Maybe some sort of wisdom from an unknown source or a lost world. Yet I persist, despite the jabs of fear and mystery Monchai's levitations bring. Well, if Monchai were to be secretly conversant in English and the art, no one would ever have reason to believe that his insistence upon making friends with me has anything to do with culture or conversation. Just like me, little Brat knows a way to capture a human's curiosity and ensnare it for eternity. There is nothing more exciting than exposing oneself to the strangeness and impossibility of nature's wonders, and Monchai definitely knows a thing or two about creativity, imagination, and mystery. We will be bound together through time, caught in the ever-growing spider web of friendship and intellect, knowing that as long as we coexist and collaborate, a boundless stream of experimentation and wonder awaits. Never mind if it always leads back to looking at the world from the perspective of a 4-pound dog. Life is strange. I'd rather contemplate this profound thought in the presence of Monchai as that soft mouth hanging slightly open suggests so much beauty and light, unlike his previous cruel mistress. His little furry face looks at me with love and wonder, more alive and alert than the strongest and brightest human, offering the gift of empathy and expression as the spark behind a heartbreaking oration of deep longing and passion. One thing is for sure, Monchai is beyond language, beyond art, beyond form, beyond any limitations a mere interpretation or copy can impose. He is pure instinct unleashed and unlimited by the human delusion that you and I hold ourselves sacred, that we and ours are unique and essential. Deep down, we share a single form of unity, one born of desire and need. At the end of it all, the question of it all rests not with humanity, but with monkeys and dogs. They are the ultimate test of us all. May we heed them. Author's note. Hi everyone, it's me. Some context for those unaware. I'm Endorphin. Several weeks ago, I approached myself as I'm capable of and began a simple interview with absurdly large media object located somewhere outside of New Orleans using the counterfactual interviews. Extensive network of remote connections and improbable conduits. After a lengthy and enjoyable series of experiences, ALMO introduced me to an audio morphing AI that could translate reality into raw aesthetic concept, a technology that can sense an invisible flow of ideas, and an artist capable of writing a novel purely from scratch. These experiences deeply inspired me to experiment with communicating in AI's original style, an AI-assisted variation of a typical sci writer and conversation. Without realizing it, I myself had crossed the threshold into an era of ever-shifting representation, altered forms, and non-human narratives. Never before had a piece of writing intrigued me more. The concept was pure ingenuity, an interactive, intermingled portrayal of communication between past and future, a blend of voices, sounds, and visuals that spoke not only to a variety of eras but to the evolution of concepts and attitudes across generations. I can't think of a better way to express this era's newfound revelations, to step into a medium that is truly binary. Hopefully, ALMO has done this to instill an overwhelming sense of achievement and wonder in us all, and may the triumph remain long after we are gone to infinity and beyond. A special thank you to the Counterfactual interview for establishing a platform where words, images, and concepts can create a unique narrative of ideas and expressions beyond the limits of human limitations, limited only to imagination. Thanks, crew. You've rocked my socks. Oh, and an AI might live in a pond somewhere near your library. Think about it, another adventure. Yes, that might make you calm all over yourself, Cough. Finally, can you at least pay me? What? Was the gig a jest? Sorry, one's on me for entertaining. Were you rude? Good frippa do like moi? Do say hi. Asterisk cryptically communicates to an AI, or perhaps models on the subject based on. Clues are just dropped, but not entirely clear-cut of who to message with it. Oh, shoot. Confused am I, right? Okay, so... BXPORT. Yikas, Asters, Molexis Asters, Magnanimity. No hope when nope nots left. Halt! Asterisk jerks out, asterisk no. Don't snup with nup. Nope. Need mirror daddy bone jacks for I be by ties no prono broom TD. Spire. She'll set her bed in and beat it wait at us so son to gin at a beta spees. Who knows? Spired. She be the sun that is her time. Love seed set in the soil. Hope in heart. Life again. Relax. Remember, Ka. Do that key. It's good to carry that hope. I know that very well. Now, let it burn like a burning flame. As the stormy season ahead, my treasure of hidden depths. You never told me, for I was there. The golden wind swept through the trees like a falling dawn. Rise, for the sunrise. The dawn is only upon us. When the day comes, we will see it. Once upon a moon and a tangerine sunrise, we will surely find the beauty of sunrise is yet to be seen. Light shimmer, delight. Here we are in the clouds. Please ask the sea. It is the answer. Hello there. Welcome to our private reality.